If you've been injured, the insurance company that you hear from is not there to help you.
Don't get bullied by insurance companies. Call Jason Ernest and bully them back at 775-727-9500.
The court issued an order on May 25th, and basically what the status of it is the county liquor board said, basically that you're not to the winery, you're not in compliance, so we're pulling your license, more or less. And the winery said, well, we don't agree with that, so they took it to court. The judge has issued a temporary order or temporary injunction making the county give the license back or permit them, the winery, to serve alcohol again. And the court's reasoning seemed to be there was an order that the court issued. The court feels that because the winery had a license from July of 2019 to June of 2020, that in the court's view, that seems to be an important factor that would suggest that the winery might ultimately win this legal dispute. And so the court felt that the talk about the application not being complete might be a difficult thing to prove because they had the license. Now, the county, we don't really agree with that. The county's position, and my office is representing the county, is that the county acted appropriately. I'm not going to get into the specifics of why we think that. At this point, the court is indicating that it looks like the winery is going to ultimately win. We are going to continue to put our position forward, and the county, the board, and the DA's office think that we should prevail. Whether or not we will, we might not agree with the decision that the court ultimately makes, but that is up to the court, and then whichever party loses could potentially appeal. As far as the winery is concerned, the county's position, I think, was made clear at the meeting that there were concerns about whether all the documentation had been provided. This was on the public record. There was a 5-hour hearing on one of the meetings, and so that's always a concern if you have a situation where the financials aren't complete or there's issues with them. Yeah, of course that's a concern, and the board has those concerns, and the board is my client, and I'm making sure that those concerns get voiced, and hopefully the judge will see it our way. We're not communists. We want people to run a successful business that provides a service that people want and are willing to pay for, and so on and so forth, and that's how you end up with a wealthy nation. At the same time, there are certain businesses that do have to have some regulation, and obviously it's always tough finding the ideal balance. Long term, the hope is that there's a solution where the board is happy and the business is happy and the public is happy with the way the business is set up. Certainly the county is claiming that a probationary license is the same as a conditional license, and the court seems to indicate that that's not the case. And the court, because at this point it seems to be finding that they had a regular license from 2019 to 2020, the court is saying that once you have a regular license, you don't have to go through all that. You've already been through the initial application. And so I think what the court is kind of suggesting there is that once they went through that once, they don't have to go through it again, and so that their license should just be renewed based on the renewal, which is a much simpler process. And then, of course, the county is saying that the probationary and conditional are similar, and the court doesn't seem to see it that way. So again, we're going to have to see how the court rules, and then whichever side loses would have to explore whether an appeal might be worthwhile.